Thank you so much for joining in. I'm going to share a few words. First of all, hi to the live viewers. Welcome to everyone watching the recording. So first of all, right now I'm feeling so peaceful. Had some stressful things happen earlier today, and there was just kind of a lingering feeling of, a little bit of tension, a little bit of, but just tuning in. We just tuned in for 11 minutes. I feel so much better. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing what this practice can do. So one thing that's on my mind lately is the body, our bodies. And Bruno had some very interesting things to say about the body and what it is to be a human being. One thing that he said was that a human being has a body, a soul, and a spirit. So I'm going to share a little bit about each of those. First of all, the spirit. Bruno said that God lives inside each one of us. I believe he used the word divine spark. I could be wrong, but that's the image that comes to my mind when I think about what Bruno said about that inside each one of us there's something pure that cannot be tainted. He said the human being is and remains divine, is never satanic, is never demonic. And let's keep in mind, he was saying these words right after World War II in Germany, when the German people must have been thinking, not all, but many of the German people must have been thinking, I'm so evil for having fallen for the lies of, I don't even like to say the word, but of the Nazi propaganda, and literally fallen under the spell of evil and done some horrific things and believed horrific things. And here comes Bruno Groening saying the human being is divine and remains divine, is never evil, is never satanic. Well, how is that possible? Well, the first part of it is this, you could say inner divinity, those are my words, that cannot be tainted. And Bruno got a little more descriptive about this, saying that the inner reaches of the soul never takes in evil. That if an evil thought comes and the human being says yes to it, takes up the thought, that the soul actually closes down. That protects, I don't want to say protect, but that's part of how the inner divinity is not tainted, is evil literally cannot get into it. And he spoke about the soul then as the receiving device. He sometimes likened the soul to an antenna that can receive different energies and different thoughts. But these negative thoughts and negative energies don't actually penetrate into the soul. They're stored in the body, and we experience them in the body. Bruno likened it, he once used a metaphor that really clarifies things for me. He likened a body to a bucket full of pure water, and he likened the soul to a stick, and to evil that the soul had associated with or connected with as mud or dirt on the stick. And when we take a human birth, that stick, the pure soul with the mud on top of it, gets placed inside this bucket of pure water. And the dirt and the mud, the evil, then contaminates that bucket. And hence we experience burdens in our body. Spiritual liberation, he said, is when one is able to completely detach from all evil. And then at the end of the lifetime, that stick, the soul, leaves the body, and all of the evil is left behind. That, in essence, is one way that he described spiritual liberation. If we don't find spiritual liberation in this lifetime, then some of that dirt or mud continues along with the stick, with the soul, until the next life. And then it enters a new body and spreads some of that burden, evil, darkness into the body. So the body, in my understanding, and again, I invite people just to study Bruno's teachings for themselves and come to their own conclusions. I'm doing my best to express my understanding of what Bruno taught. I'm not a master by any means. So I just do my best to say what Bruno Groening said on these topics. So the body is where we experience the evil. And simultaneously, Bruno said some amazing things about the body. He said that the body was a gift from God. We often think of this as my body, but the way Bruno spoke about it was the body was actually given to us. And he spoke about the opportunity to be a human being, to be in a body on this earth is a very precious opportunity, very precious spiritual opportunity. Another very interesting thing he said about the body was that God revealed, and I'm paraphrasing here, but that God revealed God's glory in the body, saying that science hasn't even begun to understand the wonders and workings of this body. So, yes, our science is certainly, you could say, become advanced in one sense, but in another sense, the wonders of the body, it's just as our science gets better, you could say better, more sophisticated, there's just like more and more and more information. It's like we're going deeper and deeper and deeper into the biology, and there's just like more and more sophistication, more wonder, more amazing structure. And I've been thinking about this lately. So let's just think about, as a soul in a body, what we can do. We can write poetry. We can create a dance. We can create art. The body is like this, I don't want to say an instrument, but like this fantastically sophisticated instrument that allows people to have thoughts, to investigate the universe and formulate complex thoughts and philosophies and scientific theories. We also have the capacity to feel so many things. The miracle of even something like sight, which we take for granted, our eyes, the science behind how our eyes work is just truly mind-boggling. We take all these things for granted, but we have this amazing capacity to think, to feel, to do, to imagine through this vessel. So to go back to what Bruno said, is that God has revealed his glory in the human body. And I'm paraphrasing, I forget the exact words, but that's the meaning of it. And the last thing I'll leave us with is Bruno would ask people, are you a body? It's a funny question if you think about it. Like if I just said to you, hey there, are you a body? And the people would say yes. And Bruno Groening would say no. You have a body. Meaning we are a spirit. We are a soul that inhabits a body. Again, you can think of the body as a vessel or a vehicle, or, there's I used to like science fiction. I used to be really into science fiction. I watch it a little bit now, not as much. And there's a theme in science fiction of like these giant robots that people get inside of and like, move around and drive around. It's maybe a good metaphor. I don't know if it's a good, but maybe a useful metaphor for what it is to be a soul inhabiting this body. In these movies, these machines are like complex and powerful and sophisticated. And then there's this living being inside of it. And once the person's in, they don't really move around much. They move. They move the machine. I don't necessarily want to say that the body's a machine, but as a metaphor, it's very interesting to think about us as the driver, you could say. So those are a few things that Bruno taught about what we are. What does it mean to be a human being? And to recap again, to have an absolutely pure spirit, if my understanding is correct, to have the Spirit of God within us, to have a soul which has a capacity to engage its will, to receive energies and thoughts. Some energies, some thoughts good, some energies, some thoughts not so good. And then to direct our lives, to act. And of course, the body, the vessel through which this happens, and through which we've been given this precious gift. According to Bruno Groening, to have a body is a precious gift. And actually, the last thing I'll close with is a very fascinating thing that Bruno Groening said. He said, he who serves his body serves God. So to take care of this body, according to Bruno Groening, is an act of divine service. And the primary way that Bruno taught us to do that is to take in this divine energy. So we'll do a little bit more of that, reflecting on us being a soul in the body. Engaging our will to receive, to take in the divine energy. Thank you so very much for joining in. I wish everyone a blessed, blessed day. Take care.